Nasty. The Bakerloo Flea.
Warning! This is a horror story.
At first, they couldn't see it. But then, there it was. Not between the lines this time, on the lines. A gigantic flea, no question. That's what it was. Well, he took one look at it, and next moment, he was backing off. Back, ladies, back, ladies. Of course, he was more scared than they were, terrified. But he was even more terrified when one of the women let out this scream. Ah! Not because she was scared, but to scare off the flea. And it worked. It jumped right out of sight. Well, there was no carrying on up the line that night. Back, ladies, back, was all he could say, and back they went. Next thing they knew, they were called into an office with a carpet and the Queen on the wall, and there was a whole gang of these men. First thing, one of them says they weren't to let anyone know of this. No one at all must ever hear of what they had all seen. There was no point in letting a panic develop. Anyway, next he says, we haven't let the grass grow under our feet, ladies. We've got a scientist with us. And then the scientist, he says,
I've got this powder, deadly flea powder. All you need to do is spread this up and down the Bakerloo line, and there'll be no more trouble with this flea thing.
Well, the women and the woman in the pub, I never found out her name, says, so who's going to spread this stuff about down there? The army?
No, the man said, we don't see any need for that. You.
He says,
You.
So that's a fine one, the woman said to me. First of all, they said it was just a bunch of women afraid of the dark, and then they sent Tarzan in pinstripes down there, and he can't get out fast enough, and now it's us that has to spread this poisonous flea powder. Well, she said, we knew it wouldn't be any good anyway. Flea powder never is. They took it down there, threw it about between Regent's Park and Baker Street and Swiss Cottage, while up above, in the big houses, ambassadors from all over the world slept soundly in their beds. They told the women not to go down for a week and not to breathe a word of it to anyone. They were more scared of a story in the papers than we were of the flea, she said. It hadn't attacked anyone. No one had seen it there in the daytime, so down they went. But there it was again, sitting there just before Baker Street with some of the powder sticking to the hairs on its legs. But this time, instead of hopping away down the line, it turned and faced them. They backed off and ran, and then it leapt. It leapt at the women, and they ran back down the tunnel to Regent's Park. This great grey flea was trying to get at them. We screamed, she said. We really screamed, but it was after us, because you see, that flea powder hadn't killed the flea, it had killed the rats. It was starving for fresh blood, probably mad for blood by now, she said. We ran and ran, and the flea was hopping, but was hitting the roof of the tunnel. It was so mad to get at us. And there was this terrible scraping sound of its shell on the roof of the tunnel. And it had fallen back onto the lines. So we could move faster than it. We rushed back to Regent's Park, and calls went up and down the line and all over the system to lock the gates on every station and seal the system. Yeah, seal off the underground system of London. Well, it was about 4 o'clock. 2 hours to go before 1 million people would be down there. What were they going to do? Upstairs in the office, they were in a blind panic. They could have done something about it earlier instead of fobbing us off. They couldn't call in the army without telling the minister, and if they told the minister, he'd tell the Prime Minister, and all the high-ups would get the sack. So they had this plan to turn the current on and run the maintenance train at high speed through the tunnel from Finchley Road to the Elephant and Castle in the hope that it would get killed beneath the wheels of the train or smashed against the buffers at the Elephant. They did it, yeah. They sent it through. Of course, that didn't work. We knew it wouldn't work. Anyone that's lived with a flea knows you can't squash fleas. You've got to crack 'em. Like that, like that. They're hard, rock hard. Well, after the maintenance man ran the maintenance train through, they went down to the gates at Regent's Park. And they stood and listened. And from down below they could hear the grating, scraping noise of its shell on its legs. Hey, thanks for watching. If you want to subscribe to this channel, where you can click on subscribe. If you want to like something, just click on like. And you can leave a comment as well, that's always nice. And don't forget my website, Michael Rosen, all one word, michaelrosen.co.uk.